out there in Mandolin land? Mike Heading here, coming to you today with a little mini lesson. Let's talk about double stops. So double stops is a fiddle term, but also used in mandolin. It just means playing two notes at once. So double stops are used all the time because it's a great way to spice up a melody. It's a great way to add harmony. It's a great way to learn the fretboard, and that's what we're going to focus on for this lesson. There's 6 shapes, double stop shapes, that we're going to use to play pretty much any double stop we want, and we're going to break those down in this lesson and go over a little music theory as well. So let's jump into this lesson about learning double stops and how to move them around the neck. Okay, so before we jump into the 6 shapes, let's just do a little music theory review so we're all on the same page. We're going to use the Nashville number system in this lesson, which just means it's just an easy way to, we're going to give each note in the scale a number, and those numbers are going to help us play melodies. They're going to help us communicate chords to other musicians. So there's a lot that we can do with these numbers. The number is also super important when you want to change the key of a song, because the numbers are basically like a common denominator. So instead of learning it in G and learning it in A or B flat, for example, if we convert the melody or the chords to numbers, then we have a common denominator that we can apply to all 12 keys. So that's a very popular way for musicians to communicate musical ideas. You might have heard someone say like, hey, this song's a 1-4-5, or this song's a 1-6-2-5. It's a very common way to communicate musical ideas. So how we're getting those numbers is, let's take the basic G major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and back to 1. So we just give each note in the scale a number. So 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that's where we're getting those numbers. It's from the major scale, or whatever scale you're using. Most times it's going to be the major scale though. And the other little thing we need to know is that what builds the chords of any chord, a major chord, is the 1, 3, and 5 notes of that scale. So if we take the first note, our root note G, if we take the third note, B, and we take the 5th note, D, that's how we're getting a major G chord. So if you look at your basic 2-finger G, we have a G, we have a D, we have a B, and we have a high G. So we have a 1, 5, 3, and then a 1. So that's where we're actually building those chords. If you go to your big G chop chord, we have a D, G, B, G. So any chord you play is going to be a combination of the 1, 3, and 5 if you're playing a major chord. If you're playing a minor chord, it's going to be a 1, a flat 3, and then the 5. So you take the third note and you flatten it, you drop it down a half step, so 1 fret, and that's how you get a minor chord. That's how you build all chords. Other more advanced chords might add other numbers on top of that. So you might have like a 1, 3, 5 flat 7, 1, 3, 5, 6 would be a G6, or a G7 dominant 7 would be a 1, 3, 5 flat 7. So you get the idea. You're basically using those building blocks, the notes of the scale. So that's where we're getting the numbers from, like I said, and we're taking the foundation of a chord, 1, 3, and 5, and then we're going to build on top of that. So how does that apply to double stops? So the double stops, a lot of times, since we're playing basic bluegrass melodies in bluegrass mandolin, we're going to use the 1, 3, and 5 notes. That's a lot of times where our key melody notes are going to come from. And it makes sense when you think about it, that if we're playing a G chord made up of the 1, 3, 5 notes, the melody notes that sound really good with that chord might also be the 1, 3, and 5. You might use other notes in the scale, like the 2, the 4, the 6, or whatever, as little passing notes, but the dominant melodies in bluegrass are going to be the 1, 3, and 5. So that's why it's really important to know those double stops. Later on, you can learn double stops that have notes outside of the 1, 3, and 5. But for this lesson, we're going to focus on double stops that use the 1, 3, and 5. So, for example, we could do a double stop, remember, is 2 notes played together. So we could do a 1 and a 3. We could do a 1 and a 5. We could do a 3 and a 5. And the other thing you can do is you can put one note higher. So you could put the 1 higher than the 3, or you could put the 3 higher than the 1. So it works both ways. So that's why we're going to have 6 shapes, because we have 3 patterns, the 1 and the 3, the 1 and the 5, and the 3 and the 5. And then we have 2 versions of each of those. So 6 kind of patterns that you have to remember total. And then we can move those around to play double stops in any key. And I'll show you how to do little minor versions as well, which isn't that hard. It's just modifications, slight modifications of a couple of them. Okay, so let's start with the 1 and the 3. So in this example, let's just start in the key of G, because that's kind of how we've been thinking. So our first one is we're going to start with our ring finger on the 5th fret. And some of these might be review, but you might not have known why we were using them, so this is a good review. So we're going to use our ring finger on the 5th fret, which is our root note. And then we have the 2nd fret on the A string, which is our 3rd. So we have a 1 and a 3. So it's good left hand and right hand practice. It's good practice to try and play both those notes. So we have the 5th fret and then the 2nd fret. So you can do down up picking, you can do tremolo. Remember, you're trying to hit both pairs of strings. So look down too visually look down and make sure all 4 strings of the 4 pairs are ringing. I found for me it was harder on the upstrokes to get all of them to ring. So that's our root note is the lower note, so our G, we're putting the 3rd on top. So that's one pattern you can remember. The other pattern that you can remember with that shape is putting the 3rd below. So in this case, we're going to put our middle finger on the 4th fret of the G string. So now we have 4 and 5. So now the 3rd is below. So see how we have 2 harmony possibilities with that same double stop? We're taking the 1 and the 3, and we're playing either the 3 above or the 3 below. Okay, so those are the first 2 shapes you want to remember. Is this one and this one. Another example of this one down here is the 2-finger G that you already probably know up here. 2nd fret on the A string, and 3rd fret on the high E. That's the root up here and the 3rd below it, right? So it's the same exact shape. We're just using different fingers. It's an octave higher in pitch, but same idea, okay? So those are the 2 shapes for the 1 and the 3 double stops that you need to know. This one and this one. And it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't matter what fingers you use. But those are the shapes you want to visualize, okay? So the next one we're going to do is the root and the 5th, okay? So let's start up with our middle finger on the 3rd fret of the high E string. So that's our root note. And then we're going to put our 3rd finger on the 5th fret of the A string. So that's our 5. So we have 3 and 5. You can do it down here. So that's, again, the root above, the 5th is below. And the other one with that shape that you'll almost never use, but I just thought I would show you it just in case, is 5 and 5. So that's with the 5th above. So that one you don't do very often. The mandolin is tuned in 5th, so if you want to play a 1 and a 5, they'd be on the 5th fret and the 5th fret. You can use 2 fingers like I do, or if you have a bigger finger, you can try and mash down 1 finger. That's why I almost never use that one, honestly. But just for the concept, it's good to know it. So that's 5 with the root below and the 5th above. And then this is the other one, like I said. So those are the 4 shapes. And then lastly is this, that's why I teach this one last, is without the root note at all, we'd have the 3 and the 5. So the first one you can do is the ring finger at the 9th fret. So that's our 3, and then our index finger on the 5th fret of the A string. That's our 5. So that's a double stop for G, even though we're not playing a G note. And that's why that can be a little bit confusing sometimes. So we have 3 and 5. Our root is here, remember. So we have 3 and 5. The other one is if you keep your first finger where it is and you put your either ring finger or 2nd finger up on the 7th fret. That's 5 and 3. here and here. So those are the 6 shapes you need to use for the major chords. We have here, 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 and here. You almost never use that one, and then here and here. Okay? And quickly, if you want to do a minor version, the minor is the 3. Remember, you flat the 3 to make it minor. So the root and 5th double stops are the same because that doesn't have the 3rd in it, so we don't have to worry about that one. So the minor shape here is if you move your first finger down to the 1st fret, hear how that makes it minor. And then if you move this 3 down, either with your first finger or middle finger, that's the minor shape. And then the other minor shape is this is the 3 here, so you have right here, move it down, or right here, move it down. So you can make those minor variations pretty easy. Once you understand which is the 3, then you just have to flat the 3rd note, and that's how you get minor. Remember, these two are the same because you're not playing the 3rd there, obviously. And then the other little tricky thing that we'll get into in later lessons is that these double stops can be used for multiple chords. So for example, the root and 3 of G could also be the 3 and 5 of E minor. So we'll get into that a little bit later, but just kind of in your mind, get comfortable with you might be using these double stops in different situations. So another example would be this 3 and 5 of G could also be used for a B minor. It would be, the B major would be, what is that, 9 and 6, right? That would be B major. If you flatten that note, that'd be B minor. So that's just like taking this G and making it minor. Now you're taking this B and making it minor. So I don't want to get too much into that concept yet because I think that might overwhelm you. But just kind of get comfortable with you're going to use these shapes in multiple situations, okay? So those are the 6 shapes we need to learn. We got here, 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 and here, and then here, and here, okay? So the nice thing about these is that they repeat a lot of places on the neck. So that'd be maybe the first thing to do is take your G. We also have that same shape up here. Now we've got a G double stop up here. We can go higher. We could go here and grab the root here. So that'd be this one. You could grab the root up here. That'd be this one. You got here. You got it here. So that's this shape right here. Or you've got this G here, which is this, right? So what I might do to start is just kind of hang out on a G and just do some up and down picking and just practice sliding between different double stop shapes. So this is going to be good practice just for your ear training. Or you could do the same thing with minor, so G minor would be something like that. So that just get familiar moving those around. So let's take that same idea and move it up 2 frets. So now we'd be in A, so we could use those same shapes. So this would be the root and the 3. Or you've got the root and the lower 3. You've got the root, or the root and the 5. Or the root and the 5, which you almost never use, remember. Or you have the 3 and the 5. Or the 3 and the 5 here. Or right here, this is the 5 and root. So see how I just took all those shapes and moved them up 2 frets? But I'm thinking of my numbers. That's again why it's so important to think of the numbers. That's our common denominator. So now I'm just thinking root and 3, or 3 and root. Same thing with minor, right? So I flatten the 3 to make it minor. That'd be A minor, or I can do the low 3 down here. Minor here. You got it right there. You got minor here. Let's say it's a key that you're not as familiar with, maybe B flat. So we take our A, move it up one more fret. Now we've got our B flat double stops here. You can go here, here, here. Gets a little tight quarters up there, but you can do it. Here, here. Same idea, you could do minor. So you see how you can start to move those shapes around once you get really familiar with them, and to play in any key. You could do B, C, you know, way up here. Or you could come back down here, and now you have this C shape here, or this C here, or this C down here. That'd be root and 3, or 3 and root, or 3 and 5, excuse me, in C, 3 and 5, or this one way up here, 5 and root, or right here, root and 3, or 5 and root. So once you start thinking of them as shapes, you don't even necessarily need to know what key you're in. You could literally take this shape and move it around until you find one that sounds good with the recording that you're playing along with, and then you can just start moving those shapes around. The other thing you could do is let's build a little chord progression. So maybe we do, just for an example, let's do a G, C, G, D. So maybe I start with a little G. Now maybe I go to C. Maybe back to G. And then D. So D here. This is 5 and root, or root and 3, or 3 and 5, right? So we go from our G double stops, now to D. Here we go, D. And then back to G. Let's go to C. Let's go right to D this time. D here. D here. Or D here. G. So see how we can really start to move around the whole neck? And I'm just taking those same shapes and just really, you know, what I would recommend is say the numbers out loud. It kind of sounds silly at first, but it's really helpful kind of getting it in your head and reinforcing it. Okay, root and 3, 3 and 5, 5 and 1. So that's what was helpful for me. Experiment. You can cue off the sound as well of them. But I found for me it was really helpful to say the numbers out loud. That really reinforced what I was playing, okay? So that's what I would focus on for this lesson. Get familiar playing it. You know, you can tremolo. I wouldn't even start playing a melody at first. I would just get familiar moving around the neck. Once you get familiar, you could start adding some, like a little melody. So maybe I do something like... Experiment. Remember, I definitely do not expect you to digest all of this at once. It's going to take some time. But remember, it's just 6 shapes that we're working out of. So don't think you have to memorize. I mean, you can think about scales and stuff later on. But I think starting with these double stops is very valuable because you're using double stops in these 1, 3, and 5 notes so much more in a melody than just memorizing a scale where you're really not sure where to use it. The 1, 3, and 5 notes are very, very safe, and that's why it's so valuable to learn those notes, because that's where you're going to go start looking for your melodies. You're not just going to go and play any note of the scale. You're going to play the 1, 3, and 5, also called the chord tones. That's where your melodies are going to live. The other notes in the scale that you learn later are going to be little passing extra kind of spice that you throw in there. The 1, 3, and 5 is like the bread and the butter, or the, you know, the basic, the foundation of the melody is going to be those 1, 3, and 5s. So memorizing these 6 shapes will give you a spot to look for melodies. It'll give you a way to add harmony. It'll give you a way to memorize and move around the neck. You'll start seeing that symmetry of that, you know, versus this, you know, it's all the same. I'm just playing those same double stops in different octaves. So I found this stuff was really important for me, and I use it all the time playing bluegrass. So give it some practice, digest it slowly. Definitely don't expect you to learn all this at once. So take it slow, working into some songs that you're working on. Hopefully it helps you out. Good luck, and keep picking.